Hello everyone, Adrian here. So, I know it's been a bit of a while since last I have posted a music review, but today that changes, and this is a project that I am very, very excited about. Pretty much anything when it comes to Wisborg, I'm very excited about because not only are they amazing musicians that create amazing new goth music that everyone has just been eating up, but they're also really amazing people just in general. So when I heard a few months ago that Wisborg was going to be releasing a new album, I was positively thrilled beyond belief. Mainly because I was so thoroughly impressed by what I had heard before that I knew whatever would be coming next would be absolutely fantastic. In my opinion, Wisborg is top-notch music as far as new goth bands and musical projects are concerned. They reach a far audience because they're so brilliantly eclectic, not to mention devastatingly sexy and dance-inducing. With this particular work, this feels like a return to goth's roots, but in the style that Wisborg is known for. This sounds a lot more 90s than their previous two albums. Not that I mind, of course. Overall, it's a bit more minimalistic than what they've been known for, which is why I personally feel like it harkens back to the feel of 90s goth. The guitar work overall here is very reminiscent of bands like The Damned, Bauhaus, The Cure, and maybe a dash of Sisters of Mercy, but in a way that doesn't drive me nuts. And it maintains that dancey, electronic, dark wave, and perhaps even a touch of industrial feel that is a part of Wisborg's signature. The first track is I Believe in Nothing, for which there is a video. It starts with some really lovely electric guitar and very dancey drums and Constantine's incredibly sexy and velvety voice. That really is one of the top selling points of Wisborg. This really gets the blood pumping and gets you out there to dance. It's simplistic and minimalistic by Wisborg standards, but it's still incredibly effective. The lyrics deal with something very relatable, which is the loss of faith in everything around you, which I feel like can touch everyone on some level. In my opinion, anyway. The next one, Fall from Grace, is far more electronic based with a fair bit of electric guitar and would definitely be suited in a club setting. The breathy vocals really send chills down your spine when accompanied by the fantastic musical soundscape that is concocted here. It really is Wisborg's trademark for sexiness and rich, lush music. Perfume and Cigarettes is next, and it's another incredibly soft, tender, and very sexy song. I'm noticing this album, in comparison to Wisborg's previous releases, are focused a bit more on classic goth guitar work that you might associate with The Cure or Bauhaus, with a very steady balance of electronic dance elements and incredibly sexy vocals and compelling lyrics to really pull you in. Let me say again that Constantine's falsetto range is among some of the best that I've heard as far as non-operatic voices are concerned. It's so smooth and it's so pure, and it really, really gives me goosebumps. L'amour fait mal is next, featuring guest vocals by Danny Devine. Definitely a bit more electronic and perhaps even industrial based than the previous three tracks, but nevertheless still incredibly sexy and alluring. There are even some references to the previous album that Wisborg has released. Toward the end in the bridge, there is some really nice guitar work that balances out the primarily electronic bass of this song. Vampire follows, beginning with a nice electronic foundation with some guitar joining in, very delicately balanced in the best way. The guitar solo really dominates during the mid-bridge section. The vocal harmonies paint a really lovely picture with their complexity. Constantine has a really versatile range and a beautiful voice, and I feel like that's really put on display more so in this album than in previous works. The ending, especially in the song, is very reminiscent of The Cure. An Erotic Funeral is next. This one comes right out and hits you in the face with goth rock, and considering the title, it's very fitting. Again, there's an interesting mix of whispering and growling vocals that create a really, really complex and intriguing layers, really. The addition of synthesizers adds that kind of classic horror movie vibe to this song in particular, which again, are incredibly fitting with the theme of this song. Vampire Part 2 is next. This picks up where the first Vampire song left off, with the very spectral vocals and classic goth guitar, but then erupts into a very rockin' piece. That did not sound right. That was very clever by design, in my opinion. This seems to be just an instrumental interlude, and this has some of the orchestral elements that I love hearing from Wisborg that I feel this album was missing out on just a little bit. But again, I feel like this is by design because it gravitates more toward 90s and maybe a little bit of 80s gothic rock. There's a bit more of an electronic drone in this song compared to its predecessor to add a bit more depth, and I really like that.
Hello everyone, this is Adrienne in post-production. Mind you, what you are seeing was my second time recording this video. Basically, when I filmed this video the first time, it completely disappeared off my memory card when I was done filming. Infuriatingly so. And I had just gotten home from a long day at work, and I got very little sleep the night before due to daylight savings time. As a result, it seems as though I spaced out and neglected to mention the next to last song on the album. I will rectify that by doing so now. Platonically Arousing is another club and party piece for us to eat right up with very industrial-sounding melodic tones and a great drum beat. I will say I wasn't a big fan of the uber-distorted vocals in the beginning and in the middle, but everything else about it was fantastic. From the middle toward the end has a very stylistically electric guitar, very goth-sounding, to round everything else out. The vocal harmonies are definitely showing off here once again, and I really, really dig it. And thank you so much to everyone for your understanding and your support. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, and I sincerely hope that you enjoyed the rest of the video. Thank you so much.
Oblivion is the final track. This features guest vocals and saxophone from Jörgen Munkeby. Terribly sorry if I butcher your name. So sorry. Fun fact, alto saxophone was actually my first instrument that I ever learned before I learned piano, cello, or voice. That's probably why my TMJ got really, really bad, to be honest. Woo! There is a music video for this track as well. I absolutely love the drone of the synthesizer making way for the piano with this one to begin, and then to be joined by the guitars and drums, and then later joined by other electronic elements. This is what we typically expect of Wisborg, so this was a smart choice for the end of the album, in my opinion. It's multidimensional, it's dancey, exotic, dark, chilling, and positively stunning. The saxophone in the song actually has a tiny bit of distortion to it toward the end of the song, and I personally think that really elevates the song to an entirely new level. It comes to a very drastic decrescendo at the end to fade out with a very soft guitar, which I think was very effective. Overall, this album was very good, the high quality that we expect from Wisborg. But honestly, I can say that I did not enjoy this album quite as much as Wisborg's previous releases. The first two albums I'd given A+, this new one, Into the Void, was a solid A. I hope that provided some perspective on the comparisons between the previous releases and this one. Depth and multidimensionality is one of the top selling points of Wisborg, and that's on top of Konstantin's stunning vocals. It seems that multidimensionality has been toned down a bit with this album. It's a bit more minimalistic, again, by Wisborg standards. I can see what they were going for with this one. You know, kind of harkening back to classic 80s and 90s goth music with Wisborg's undeniable signature twist, but I just feel like it fell a tiny bit short of the standard that was set by previous releases. Oblivion was my favorite song on the album, and I personally think it was the album's crowning jewel, followed closely by L'amour fait mal and Perfume and Cigarettes. I will also say that I expected more with the guest vocals on L'amour fait mal, with how much it was hyped when the album was initially teased and announced, but the song could have functioned with or without the tiny snippets in the chorus section, aside from the little spoken word bits that were done by Danny Devine. It was minuscule compared to what I was expecting when I see featuring insert contributing musician here next to a song. And I do say this as someone who has done guest vocals for musical projects a couple of times, not just as some random person who does music reviews. I'm just saying. I'm just speaking from my own experience and having listened to a lot of compilations and collaborations. That's just me. All this considered, that does not mean that this album wasn't absolutely fantastic. As I've stated before, Constantine's voice is absolutely breathtaking and vampiric, and that certainly hasn't changed here. As a matter of fact, his vocal technique and control have gotten better. He's getting a bit more adventurous with his vocals, and I'm definitely here for it. He's using a bit more of his falsetto range, which is chef's kiss. It's what sweet dreams are made of. If you're a fan of 90s goth rock and are hungry for something a little newer within the same vein and the same kind of feel, I think you'll enjoy this album tremendously, and same goes for fans of Wisborg's previous releases that want something slightly more rocky. I think this will be for you as well. So guys, that was my review of Into the Void by Wisborg. I am really excited about this project. I'm really interested to see how it will be received by both Wisborg's fans and other music critics and other people who review goth music and have been promoting goth music, especially the new stuff. Very important. So I will leave all of the relevant links for Wisborg in the description below. You know, their social media, their Bandcamp, and especially their Patreon. Their Patreon is so important for supporting them. Now, it's not as though these guys are trying to be full-time musicians here. They have full-time jobs aside from the musical projects that they contribute to, and it's absolutely amazing the effort that they put into it. It really is. It takes a lot of energy to have a full-time job and do music on the side. I'm having a hard enough time doing it myself, working as a phlebotomist full-time and not even having my own solid musical project yet. So any little bit that you could contribute on Patreon really does make a difference, and there are perks that come with that as well. So please, support them on Patreon, buy their merch, buy their music. That means more to them than you can possibly know. And with that, I'm out. So guys, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that bell for notifications so that you can be notified every time I post a video. And thank you so much to my patrons out there. I can't tell you how much it means to me that you support me every single month. I really do appreciate it. You guys are fantastic. And to everyone, you're amazing. I love you, and I will see you guys later. Bye.